Disney Junior invites you to Paris, where you'll meet
Gaspard and Lisa.
Hello, bonjour.
They're best friends.
You want to see what I drew? We were both thinking the same
Who
thing.
do everything together.
Ta-da!
When something goes wrong, they call it a
Catastrophe!
But when they work together to make things right again, it's a
Triumph!
Come on, make a play date with Gaspard and Lisa.
Thank you, Lisa. That's what best friends do.
Gaspard and Lisa. Weekend afternoons at 1:30, 12:30 Central on Disney Junior.
Hey, my Higgly Party dudes and dudettes!
Higglytown is a small place with big heroic tales.
I need the help of someone special.
Where friends work together
With a little imagination, there's no limit.
to make their town a safe place to play.
Yay! I can play, I can play, I can play!
You can learn how to be a hero too.
Work real hard, that's what we'll do. So we can be a hero, just like you.
With Higglytown Heroes, weekday afternoons at 1:12 Central.
The moon is out tonight, and the stars are shining bright. Now it's time to rest. It's sleepy time.
In the kingdom of Enchantia, there's a special amulet.
You must promise to never take it off.
Amulet of Avalor. It gives me the power to talk to animals.
What?
It has the power to bring princesses together.
Cinderella? What are you doing here?
I can help you find your way. But Sofia's biggest challenge
I promise never to take it off.
How irritatingly charming.
is to keep it out of the wrong hands.
Sophia's magical amulet will be mine.
Who will lend me the amulet for my trick?
Discover the magic of Enchantia.
It contains powerful magic.
Here we go!
Ooh, rose petals. This is amazing!
In Sofia the First, right here on Disney Junior.
It's almost time for bed. Time for a story, time to rest my head. Almost time to close my eyes. It's sleepy time.
Thomas and Friends, making tracks to great destinations.
Dear Christopher, here is your friend Thomas the Tank Engine. He wanted to come out of his station yard and see the world. These stories tell you how he did it. I hope you will like them because you helped me to make them. Your loving Daddy.
Sir Topham Hack's engines were proud to work on the island of Sodor. Though the railway was very busy, the engines worked together to get the work done. Each engine had their own unique strengths that allowed them to perform their individual duties with ease. Some engines, like Thomas and Percy, were small and well suited for lighter branch line work. Engines like Gordon and Henry were big and strong and designed for fast mainline traffic. James and Edward were mixed traffic engines that could pull big and small trains equally well. There were other important members of the railway too, such as the coaches and trucks. Without their ability to hold passengers or goods, it would be impossible to travel or move necessary supplies across the island. Unfortunately, the engines often forget to recognize their coaches and trucks for their contributions. There was an old van who lived on the island. He spent his days moving from one side of the island to the other, being loaded, unloaded, and loaded again. It was not hard work, but it was lonely. He never got as much as a hello from the engines. He was not prone to mischief like some of the other trucks, but he was often bumped only because that's just the way engines treated trucks. One day, James was at the big station preparing the slow goods to be taken to the junction at the end of the line. He hated it. "I'd much rather be pulling the express," he fumed. James bumped the trucks furiously as he arranged them into a neat line. Come on, he screeched. "I shan't have any silliness today. I want to finish before nightfall." James, grumbling dreadfully, shunted the last few trucks in line, a few loaded flat wagons and the old van. The van felt sad. He had barely moved and was already being harassed. He wanted to say something to James, but he knew he'd only get bumped again. "Why so glum?" called a friendly voice. The van looked over and was surprised to see Henry and Gordon sitting in the yard. He was not accustomed to being addressed by engines, especially big engines. The van stuttered. "I'm just tired." Gordon chuckled. "Tired of being bumped, James is the worst for that." The van hadn't received as much as one shred of compassion before. He felt warm inside. Yes, we get bumped a lot. Sometimes we get bumped even if we did nothing wrong. Henry and Gordon were embarrassed. "I'm sorry, my friend," Henry said. "We were taught that we should assume that trucks are going to misbehave, and we should bump them no matter what." "We are so used to doing this that we never stop to think how it affects you," Gordon added. "Well, we're sorry for acting up so often. I think that because we never get to know you, that we feel like we must misbehave for you to notice us." "We had no idea that's why you act out. How can we help you feel more comfortable?" "Well, we would appreciate if you took some time to talk to us during your day," the van said. "We would feel much more included." "Of course," Henry said. "That would be our pleasure." The van simply beamed. The signal dropped and it was time for James and his slow goods train to leave. "Thank you for talking to me," said the van. "The other engines ignore us. It makes me feel good to know that not all engines think we're silly." "Not at all," Henry replied. "We're glad to have a new friend." James, while waiting for the signal, had overheard the entire conversation and felt awful about it for the rest of the journey. At the last station, after he set down his trucks, he spoke to the old van. "I am so sorry for bumping you earlier," James said softly. "It's okay. I'm just pleased to be talking to you," the van smiled. The two chatted for a while, and James left to go back to the sheds. The van felt a renewed sense of purpose. He no longer felt like he was a cog in the system, but a true member of the team. For the first time in his long life, he looked forward to going out again tomorrow.
The island of Sodor is a wonderful place. Thomas enjoys puffing all over the island. There are lots of special places to visit. Where's this? That's right. It's the Sodor Island Suspension Bridge. The Suspension Bridge is one of many beautiful bridges on the island of Sodor. There are lots of bridges. And every day, the engines puff across the bridges as they go about the island being really useful. Sometimes a bridge can be dangerous, especially if it's broken. One day, Neville, the new engine, was puffing towards the old bridge. Neville was new to the island. He didn't know the bridge was broken. Then he saw the danger flags and the barrier. But he was going too fast to stop. He crashed through the barrier and applied his brakes hard. Thomas steamed in. Neville was very scared. "Help me, Thomas!" Thomas quickly buffered up to Annie and Clarabelle. Slowly and steadily, Thomas began to pull Neville back from the edge. And with one big puff, Neville was pulled to safety. Neville was safe and sound, and it was all thanks to his new friend, Thomas. Thomas likes all the bridges, but there's one that is very special for him, and that's the Sodor Suspension Bridge. One night, there was a terrible storm. The bridge twisted and shook in the gales, and with a terrible crack, it fell into the valley below. When Thomas saw what had happened to his favorite bridge, he was sad. He wanted to help repair it. The bridge needed a new steel beam. It was very heavy. Thomas pushed the beam all the way from the docks. That had been hard work, but now he had to work even harder. Very slowly and very steadily, Thomas rolled forward so that the cables round the beam were pulled tight. Very slowly and very steadily, the beam lowered to the ground. It went lower and lower until at last the beam was in place. Thomas had never been so proud. So that's why the Sodor Suspension Bridge is very special for Thomas. There are so many special places on the island of Sodor. Next time, Thomas will show us somewhere else. Thomas is puffing to the painters. It is time for him to have a fresh coat of paint. Thomas wonders if he could be a different color. What color could Thomas be painted instead of blue? What if he were red like James? Then he would be the color of a Sodor postbox, or the same color as Bertie the bus. What if he were green, like Henry? Then he would be the color of grass, or the leaves on the trees. Thomas thinks red and green are lovely colors. He doesn't want to be blue anymore. Then he puffs past Trevor. Trevor is covered with lots of bright blue ribbons. He has been decorated for the fair. Blue is quite a nice color, says Thomas, for ribbons. Then Thomas arrives at the station. Can you see anything here that is blue? There's a beautiful bunch of blue balloons. blue can be nice for balloons too, puffs Thomas. I wonder if anything else is blue, says Thomas. Can you see anything else that's blue? Of course. The sky is blue. If ribbons can be blue, and balloons can be blue, and the sky is blue, then blue is a jolly good color for engines after all, says Thomas. Thomas is very happy to be painted blue. Today, Thomas, James, and Henry are being repainted, but there's a problem. The labels have come off the cans of paint. No one knows which color paint is in which can. Is the paint in the first can the right color for Thomas? Let's see. It's red. Is that the right color for Thomas? No, Thomas isn't red. What about the second can? Blue. That looks better. Thomas is blue. Who's next? James. James is red. Can you remember which can the red paint was in? Was it this can? No, that's not right. The third can is full of green paint. What about trying the first can again? Red. That's right. The first can is full of red paint. There's one more engine to be repainted. Henry. Henry is green. Can you remember which can the green paint was in? Was it this can? Yes. The green paint is in the third can. Now Henry, James, and Thomas are all the right color. And how smart they look, too. Well done.
Percy in a muddle. Percy was feeling bored. Things have been too quiet around here lately, he told himself. What we need is something to liven things up. All the engines know from experience that whenever Percy is bored, that's when he starts feeling mischievous. That day, Percy was to bring Gordon's coaches to the platform in time for his next express train. But on his way to the carriage sidings, Percy suddenly had an idea. He giggled to himself. Then, ignoring the coaches, he hurried away to the sheds. Gordon was resting there when Percy arrived. Beep, beep! There you are, Gordon. The Vat Controller said you're to stay in the shed. He wants to talk to you about something important. Gordon snorted. Oh, no, you don't. That's the oldest trick in the book. You know my next train is due shortly. No, it isn't, said Percy. Henry has taken the express already. It was a last-minute change of plan. Pah! Nonsense, snorted Gordon, and he puffed grandly towards the station. But when Gordon arrived, he was surprised not to find his coaches waiting for him. That's funny, he muttered. They ought to be here. And perhaps Percy was telling the truth after all. His driver wasn't so sure. If Henry has taken the express, then why are all those people waiting on the platform? That's what I'd like to know, fumed the station master. Where in the world are your coaches, Gordon? Gordon tried to explain about Percy, but the station master wouldn't listen. By this time, Percy was nowhere to be seen, so Gordon was forced to fetch his own train. When he was able to leave, the express was late, and the passengers were cross. When Gordon met Percy again later that day, he was fuming. So, Gordon, grinned Percy, did he talk to the Vat Controller then? No, I was too busy trying to find my coaches. Sorry about that, Gordon. It was only a bit of fun. You should try it yourself someday. Then you wouldn't look so grumpy. And Percy puffed away, giggling. Gordon was about to reply, then stopped. Yes, he murmured. I think I will. That night, Gordon was due to pull his evening train. He won't be back until much later. Usually, it was the only time when Gordon had to shunt his own coaches to be cleaned and used for another train the following morning. But tonight, he had a plan. Before he left, he spoke to his driver and the yard manager. Then he puffed away with a big smile on his smokebox. The next morning, the firelighter lit Percy's fire first so that he could arrange the big engines as trains. As he left the shed, he saw Gordon resting in a siding, and he remembered the trick he had played on him yesterday. What a clever trick! What a clever trick! He puffed quietly. But when Percy reached the yard, he got a big surprise. The yard was in an awful muddle. All the trucks and coaches were in the wrong places. Footplates and funnels! Exclaimed Percy. What happened? This wasn't how I left things yesterday. We better get this sorted out, and quick, said the driver. Otherwise it'll be chaos before the morning rush. Percy worked as quickly as he could, putting everything right again. He just couldn't understand how everything had become so muddled. By the time he brought the express coaches to the platform, the passengers were already waiting. And so was Gordon. Morning, Percy, said Gordon cheerfully. What kept you? What kept me? I've been trying to organise the yard. Everything was all wrong. I couldn't find anything. Oh dear, it must have been my fault. I might have moved one or two things about when I came back last night. Sorry about that. Gordon paused, and then added, But, after all, you did say that I should have a little bit of fun. You don't mind, do you? Percy snorted. Oh, no. Of course I don't mind, he said casually. Unfortunately, the Fat Controller did mind when he heard all about it. After speaking to Gordon and Percy, both engines thought twice about playing any more tricks for a while.
Coming up, get ready for Sofia the First on Disney Junior.